This is the Yolanda Robinson Show, and all viewing audience, are you in for a treat? I have a legend. I'm telling you, a legend in the on the show today. His name is Ray Miller, and if you don't know Ray Miller, you're not doing anything in Columbus, Ohio, because everybody that's doing anything, I mean anything, even if you're sweeping the floors, you know Ray Miller, because Ray Miller. Yeah, I mean, he's a politician. He has been a state senator. He has been a state representative. He has even been in the White House, y'all. I'm telling you. And then now he's a publisher of the Columbus and Dayton Communicator News. Ray has the Midas touch. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking because if I talked about Ray, I would be here all day talking about the accomplishments that he's making in our community. But Ray Miller, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so pleased to have the opportunity to be a part of your program. This is
I am so
outstanding.
glad that you agreed to be on the program and you're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, to the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Hall of Fame. It's just, you know what, Ray? I remember when you were a student at Ohio State. And Dr. Nelson, I think you were teacher's pet, really, because Dr. Nelson, but I don't believe it now because it was you were just stood out amongst all the students in the class. I mean, most of the students, because everything that you did, you were doing everything that you did, you academics, politics, and even in the music field when you played the drums. I mean, what keeps you going like that? What makes you do?
Yolanda, we have to appreciate people who just have genius
You're a genius.
and a broad view.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Dr. William E. Nelson Jr.,
Well, both
who
of
was
you
my
were.
advisor.
Both of you
You
were.
know, he
Uh,
could go anywhere, as you know
yeah.
well because you worked with him. He could
Yes.
go
Yes.
anywhere in America, and I'm not
Yes.
exaggerating.
Yes.
If there was anything that was speaking to African Americans and particularly African Americans in politics, they had to know Dr. William E. Nelson Jr. So, when you have a giant like that in front of you giving his time, I don't care how much money they pay him at the Ohio
Yes.
State University
Yes.
when he was
Yes.
there, he's giving his time, he's mentoring us, his door is open to us.
Yes. It
You
was.
have to take full advantage of that.
Yes.
It may sound simple, but there are a lot of people who have opportunities and the door is open and they won't walk through.
I
And
know.
so what
But
I did with Dr. William E. Nelson Jr., I sat at his feet, took everything that he was giving me and ran with it,
you
right? Because
sure
he gave me
did.
solid advice.
You sure did. Not only did you run with it, when you took the ball, you went and you helped. The ball was helping many, many people. What you opened doors for people, thousands of people in the field of minority health. And then also what you did, what you're doing with the youth, what you're still doing. I mean, you didn't keep the knowledge to yourself. You built an institute that will help them be leaders and things. It's just been amazing, all the work that you've done in the community. That's the reason why I was so happy that you're going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Hall of Fame. That is so
Well, let,
wonderful.
let me make one thing clear.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was not a great basketball player. I mean, I wasn't bad, but I was not a great basketball player at all. I wasn't on the varsity. This award is being given to me because of community service,
That's
right? I,
community service.
I can go with that. But
I know that's
I
right.
told I told my brother-in-law, I said, I'm going to be getting an award from the Basketball Legends Hall. He said, you are going to get, he played college ball, right? And he said, you're going to get an award for basketball? And he taught me how to shoot a foul shot.
But guess what? The shots that you shot, that you were shooting, sure did open up many doors for many, many, many people. And I
And
think
we,
that's what makes, when a professor or a teacher can see their students taking that theory in practice and helping so many people. I know that he was so proud of you, and you worked under some great people like C.J. McLean, the
exactly.
godfather of politics, I don't think we've ever had anybody that is like a CJ McLean except you.
When
And
I
I'm
wa-
glad that you
when I
worked
was
with
on
him.
the yeah,
Uh,
when I was on the White House staff of President Carter, they brought a delegation in from Alaska.
uh-huh.
And so I didn't know we had enough Black people in Alaska to have a delegation of any kind, but there they were. My boss asked me to speak to them, and he introduced me by saying, "This is C.J. McClellan's boy," right? And they said, "You know C.J. McClellan?" And I looked at them like, "You know C.J. McClellan from Anchorage and so forth."
Yeah,
But they were, I think there was only three of them who were legislators, and the others were within the administration there
yes,
in Anchorage and
yes,
Juneau and those
yes.
cities in Alaska. But if you're doing good work, it seems to get all over not only the United States but throughout the world pretty quickly.
And that's what you're doing. You're doing such good work in our community and have done. And I've met some of your students. They said that
Yeah,
and I know that you have to be doing just like Dr. Nelson did
yeah,
with you. You have to be smiling because when you see some of the students and some of the professionalism and the things that they're doing in our city, I just said this is just wonderful that you decided that you would build that kind of institute that would give them the nuts and bolts of
yeah.
leadership.
Right, right. It's all about passing it on, right?
Yes,
If something's
yes,
been given to you, you have a responsibility to pass it on. And so
yes,
these young people are sharp. I mean, they're
yes.
sharp and they're
Oh,
hungry
yes,
and they're committed to, improving our community. But we got to get out of the way sometimes to an extent to let them in the door so that they can show the talent that they have,
yes,
the concern that they have, and so
yes,
forth for our community.
yes,
Friend of mine, Akko Kamban, Akko
yes.
sent me a note. He had called me and he said, "I need somebody to speak on this program." I said, "You want a brother who went through my leadership program? His
Uh-huh,
name is Ani and Walimu, right?" I
uh-huh,
said, "Here's his
uh-huh,
telephone number. You call him."
uh-huh,
Akko sent me a note last night and he said,
uh-huh.
"Oh, he said that boy was all he's outstanding, right?" And that makes
Oh,
you, you're right, that does make you feel
yes,
good.
yes.
And
When
Dr.
they take
Nelson,
that serious,
Dr.
it is.
Nelson was just a giant
Yes,
in our
yes,
lives, and
yes, 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 yes.
great to have my name associated with his in any kind of way.
Well, me too. Me too. Even though he worked me real hard, I'm so glad he did.
I have a photo of me and Dr. Nelson. Let's see who's in this.
I said,
Kurt Moody and Howard Nolan.
"Oh wow, oh
C.J.
wow!" In your
McClellan was
office.
involved in that as well.
Yes,
I remember C.J. McClellan. Let me put the truth out there. C.J.
yes.
McClellan said to Kurt Moody, he said, "You don't really have a Black firm. So I want to take Howard Nolan, architect from Dayton, Ohio,
Uh
and
huh.
we're going to team you up." That's how Moody Nolan architectural firm
Oh
came about. It
wow.
wasn't just two brothers that knew each other, playing some basketball. It
Okay.
was two brothers who were put together by
Right.
that master politician,
Oh
Clarence
yes.
Joseph McClellan Jr.
Oh
And
yes.
it was put together for real.
Oh
And
yes. And
and they
just like
grew.
C.J. McLean, we know that the street committee in Columbus knows that if you want anything to happen in Columbus, that you have to talk to Ray Miller because Ray Miller has the vision and he can give you very good advice that is going to work and it'll save you all that hard work. So just so happy that you are that. The Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association is recognizing you. Now, I know that you've gotten many, many, many awards, many, but
About 600.
boxes, you probably have boxes of
I
plaques
do.
and
I
everything, but
do.
it's always good when people say thank you. But what is the importance of this kind of recognition and enshrinement? What does that mean to you, Ray?
Oh, it means an awful lot to me. We as African Americans, we
Yes,
have to have greater appreciation for what we've done,
yes,
and who's engaged, and call them out by name and so
yes,
forth. Being
yes,
real honest. And my goodness, the basketball legends. Take Ahmad.
Uh,
we so many of us knew him as Skip Young,
yes,
and
yes.
or take Jim Clemens.
Oh,
Jim and I were at Ohio State together. You remember
yes,
that?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he was a great basketball player there.
yes,
But
yes,
it's more than basketball. Jim was also a very, I watched him. He was so Christian in his comportment. I mean, the way in which he presented himself.
yes,
He worked hard, yeah, and he was a great ball player. He worked on his game, but he
yes,
gave a lot more to the community
yes.
and continues to.
And continues to,
Yeah,
yes,
on
giving
a daily
and
basis.
yes,
Kurt Moody, yeah, I mentioned Kurt. Kurt was
yes,
on one of those teams up there at Ohio State University.
yes,
Didn't get
yes.
to play as much. I think I could have played as much as Kurt almost. But it's good to have people who open up the door for you, get out the way, right? Open up
Yes,
the door and let you do your thing, continue
yes,
to give you some advice. And
yes,
I do that. I mean, all of the folks who come through the Leadership Academy or the young political people,
yes.
every one of them came and sat in these chairs
Uh-huh.
and said, "Can you give me some advice on my race?"
Uh-huh.
Uh, young man who first Somali. You know
Uh-huh.
how big our Somali population
Yes,
is here in
yes,
Columbus, Ohio. We're
yes,
second largest to Minneapolis,
yes,
right, in
yes,
terms of Somali population.
yes.
Then I looked at the results this morning to see how he did. He's number
Oh,
one. He finished first, but there are votes that are still outstanding. And here's the thing now,
uh-huh.
we had four African Americans in addition to him who
Wow.
decided they would jump in the race. So
Yes,
they split the vote. The
yes.
white person is in a prime position now. Young lady, she's in a prime position to
Yes.
take that seat that was carved intentionally for an African
Uh,
American or an
uh-huh.
African, right?
Uh-huh.
And so
Uh-huh.
this young man, Ismail Muhammad, I really, really wanted to see him. I went all out for him. I put
Uh-huh.
my name, I endorsed him and so forth, right? But
Uh-huh.
there are a lot of people that we have,
Uh-huh.
African Americans, who
Uh-huh.
did not support him, did not endorse him,
Uh-huh.
did not come public, and I sure wish that they had.
Mhm.
I also boxed at Beatty Recreation Center. So if they
Oh,
see me today, somebody might get a black eye
oh, I
that I'm
didn't know.
endorsing
Yes,
this
yes,
young man.
somebody told me you used to be a boxer.
Oh, I was a serious
Oh my
boxer.
gosh, but Ray, you know what? There's there's a saying that you live by that you tell. I know you probably told all your students don't get hung up on your highest achievement.
Uh,
I don't have the exact words in front of me, but it seems like you're doing that with your life. I mean, every mountain that you climb, when you get to the top, you go up another mountain and still go up to the top. Could you expound a little bit more on that?
well,
Because
a lot of people have the door open and they rest, right?
yes,
I think it's biblical. I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it if thou has a little strength, right? And
oh,
so God has set forth this open door for us, and
yes,
we've got to be prepared,
yes,
right?
yes,
Prepare ourselves academically in terms of the experience,
uh,
in terms of our contribution back to the community, and then move forward in an aggressive manner
mm,
because we've got people sitting there blocking, right?
oh,
They're
yeah,
sitting there waiting to block everything. When I did the Department of Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services,
yeah,
right? You do something because you know it. And if you know it, you have a responsibility
mm,
to bring about some real change, right?
mm,
I had a young brother who got hooked on crack cocaine,
mm,
didn't pay his bill, got shot to death behind my house, behind where I grew up, 169 North 18th Street, and
mm,
my church, Second Baptist Church.
yes,
So he's running down the alley, half high, half scared, and gets shot to death, right? I'm supposed to do something about that when I get to the legislature or even in the community. If you never get to the legislature, if you know something, if
mm,
and you can feel that, you have an absolute responsibility to work to bring about some change. And so that's what I believe in.
yes,
Putting some good people in place who are not afraid. There's so many people who are afraid to do anything. So how do you live with yourself being so
oh yeah.
scared?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're scared to speak up. And it's not and some people are scared to make a telephone call. You know.
Yes, yes,
You don't
yes,
even have
yes.
to be in the room, but you could just make a telephone call. That is really important. I
Yeah.
but I thank God that you spoke up because I know that before we were working on health issues. They were
Yes.
all looking at health from a Eurocentric perspective, and it wasn't, if it wasn't for the legislation that you put while you were in the state house, we wouldn't be talking about looking at it genetically from issues like lupus, sarcoidosis that are affecting our
Yes.
people. They got more attention because of yours being a state
Yeah.
rep.
Yeah.
And it
The
was
Commission
what
on
we were
Minority Health.
all lobbying for with the Black Assembly when back in the day when there weren't any Black elected officials, we were hoping that we would have a lot
Yeah.
more politicians like you. But
Yep.
I just,
Yep.
but
Yep. Same on the same principle.
yes,
I was in New York. I was in Rensselaerville, New York. They had brought 25 of the nation's leading healthcare experts. And I'm like, how did I get in the room? I'm not one of the 25 top, leaders in the nation on healthcare, but there I was, right?
yes,
And
yes,
I'm listening, and everything, each speaker said, and diabetes is 4 times higher for African Americans,
yes,
and prostate cancer is that. I mean, each one of them just threw the numbers out. They were
yes,
all researchers, they were all white, and
yes,
it didn't touch them,
yes,
right? It didn't touch their heart. And I'm sitting there saying, whoa, we are dying like crazy from all of these diseases.
yeah.
And so at the end of the forum, they said, what are you going to do when you go home? I said, when I go home, I'm going to create the Ohio Commission on Minority Health,
Uh,
right? This is the composition. I don't want everybody's political buddy. I don't want somebody's wife and so forth just
uh,
because they
uh,
may be married, or this woman, I don't want her
uh,
husband if he just happens to be married. I said, no, no, no. What
uh,
we're going to do is we're going to put together all of our talent. I'll get the resources because I was the chairman of the Human Resources Subcommittee of Finance Appropriations, right?
uh,
And so
uh,
I said, I will get the money. Don't worry about the money part of the deal.
uh,
And we brought Cheryl Boyce in as our executive director.
oh, yes.
Um, and then the national office modeled what we had done, right?
Oh,
We
yes,
were the
yes,
first state to have a commission on minority health,
yes.
and it made a lot of difference.
It was a model because I was at the extension center and we organized a minority health conference. It
Yes.
was called the Black Crisis Health Crisis, and
Mm.
people from around the country came and saw that Ohio model. And they were like, I know Massachusetts, Illinois, they asked Cheryl to come in and talk about the Ohio
Yeah,
model. And but we would never have had that model. We would never have been able to have it. That's why it's so important that we connect and everybody work together, because we would never have had it if you hadn't put that legislation in
sure.
for the
Same thing.
hmm
Same thing with the Ohio Department of Alcohol and Drug Addiction
yes,
Services, right?
yes,
I was an intern first to Dick Celeste before he
yes,
became the governor when he was a member of the House, and
yes,
then I became his legislative aide for 1 year,
yes.
and then just a good friend.
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, Dick's got a birthday coming up and inviting everybody to his party in about
Uh,
a couple of weeks here. That's coming up, but
yeah.
here I learned things that you just nobody's going to say, here's what a Rhodes Scholar is. Dick Celeste was the graduate of Yale, but he was also a Rhodes Scholar. And everybody said, he's a Rhodes Scholar. And I'm walking around, I graduated from Champion and East High School. I didn't know what a Rhodes Scholar was, right?
Uh-huh.
So you learn some things. I told my son, we only have one child, right? Ray the third.
Yes.
And I said, Ray, I want you to know everything that I know. He's a big guy. I put my arm around the big boy.
Uh-huh.
We walk the neighborhood sometimes,
Uh-huh.
right? And I
Uh-huh.
said, I want you to know I said, so you could be a Rhodes Scholar,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And he said, well, Dad, what's that? And I give him the whole history of being a Rhodes Scholar and so forth. But
Uh-huh.
there are things that are out there that we can take advantage of. There's some things that we will excel at, but
Uh-huh.
oftentimes never get the opportunity,
Yes.
right?
And
If
we
you
don't
put
know it.
guns in front of somebody, they're going to use the guns. But if you put some books in front of them and start telling them what's inside of those books, they would have an interest in that far surpasses
Mm-hmm.
having a gun
Mm-hmm.
uh,
But
stuffed down their belt.
yeah.
It's a terrible thing.
Well,
But anyhow,
I hope you
what's
continue
your
to do it.
as
We
my
got
little
that
grand as my
gone.
little granddaughter would say, Next question.
Next question. But guess what? I hope you continue to do what you're doing. It's been wonderful. I'm so glad that you're going to be inducted. I can't express how happy it is. I'm glad that we recognize you. I know that you got 600 of them, but you need 600 more
Abs-
because
well,
there's 600,000 people
I have
that have benefited from the kind of legislation that you put in, more than 600,000, and it's an honor to be a part of and in the room of the group that's saying thank you for taking a risk, because it was a risk at that time. It might not be now, but it was a risk for somebody to speak up and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. And it opened up many doors, and it started researching a lot of research for us, about us, and it saves a lot of people's lives. So thank you, Ray Miller, and everybody out there. We're going to be giving Ray Miller the hall of he's going to be with the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association is going to give Ray Miller inducted. He'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Greater Basketball Legends Association. Not because he can play basketball, but
ah,
because he is a
that would
awesome
be the truth.
community leader. Ray, are you ever going to write about your story? Are you ever going to write a bio on yourself?
I, well, I publish a newspaper. I have a publisher's page, and if you and I'm sure you've looked at this,
Yes.
every month with the publisher's page, I'm telling a different part of my life almost. And so I'm making it easy for putting the book together.
Okay.
Uh,
I
so
hope
for
that book
11
gets
years, every
together.
month, yes,
I hope
yes,
you put
yes.
that book together, because it would
I
be
absolutely
awesome for
am.
the next generation to be able to look at it and some of the things and accomplish it but that you've done. But that's going to be on Saturday, August the 20th. You got to be in the house, August the 20th at the Worthington Christian High School from 3 until 6 p.m. You can get your tickets. Get your tickets at the greater cbla.org. And guess what? They're not taking tickets at the door, so you got to get them right now. And I'll see you, Ray, at the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association Hall of Fame, and I'll see you out there at the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association Hall of Fame. Thank you for being on the S. Yolanda Robinson Show. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. And thank you to the Basketball Legends Association for that great award, too. I've got other awards, but nothing like that.
Nothing